Hi guys, welcome to another week of online learning. This is your math video. This one is specifically on perimeter and area. So area is hopefully something that you guys know backwards and forwards by now. You know that area also can be found with an array. You just multiply the left and right times the up and down, or we've also broken shapes as well. The key here is that when we're learning about what perimeter is, area is the area inside. So that's what we were measuring before, how many squares would be inside of here. But now we're talking about perimeter. Perimeter is something totally different. You can use the same information, but it is a little bit different. So perimeter is the distance around. So I want you to think of this like a fence. This is the fence, and this is the actual yard. So if I ask you, how big is your backyard? You might say, oh, I don't know, 25, or that's kind of small, but like 100 square feet. That's how big my backyard is, or 300 square feet, or whatever it is, which that's an awesome number. But if I ask you, how much fence would you need to cover your backyard? You wouldn't tell me how much grass there is, or how much, I don't know, how much rocks there are, how much sand is at the beach, whatever is on the ground, filling it in. You wouldn't tell me that, but you would actually tell me the outside distance. So perimeter is just the outside. And I actually have a little helpful picture for you. Area is the inside, which is what we have been calculating together with our arrays. And perimeter is the distance around. So I don't care about the inside. I care about the outside. Now, here's where things get a little tricky. You use the same numbers for area and perimeter. You just use them differently. So in area and perimeter, if this side is 6 and this side is 5, I'm going to multiply. 6 times 5 is 30. But in perimeter, I will still use my 6 and my 5, but instead of multiplying them, I will add a 6 plus a 5 plus a 6 plus a 5. I know this bottom is 6 because the top is 6, and I know this is 5 because it matches this side. So they're like twins. Whatever one side is, the opposite side is, because they're parallel. You don't have to know what that word means. But this one, they actually give you all the sides, so it's actually very simple. So all you need to do is add it up in order to find the perimeter. So that's it. That's like a very short way to explain what perimeter is. And I thought I made something as I'm explaining it. I'm like, I definitely think I made something like this yesterday. Yes, I did. I knew it. I was like, I definitely did this. Okay, so area is the space inside. Perimeter is the distance around the outside. So the thing they have in common is that you're going to use the same numbers, the same side lengths, because the side lengths won't change if you're figuring out area perimeter. You're just going to use them differently. You're either going to multiply them or you're going to add them up. So it's important that you know which one you're using. I think of area like a yard, like a backyard, and perimeter is like a fence all around. And all you do is add up the sides like a maze. Or actually, a good way to think of it is like a walk or a run. If you're walking or running that distance around the school building, that would be you're going to run the perimeter of the school. But if you're going to figure out the area, that's all the space inside, all the classrooms, the cafeteria. It's two totally different measurements. So make sure that you are considering that when you are doing the lesson. Okay, so the perimeter of the rectangle. I like this one because it's a little tricky. If you're thinking about area, you might want to multiply 9 times 6, but that's not what it's asking. It's asking for the perimeter. Perimeter, you add them up. It's not enough just to add 9 plus 6. I have to add up all of the sides. So in this case, 9 plus 6 plus 9 plus 6, 9 plus 6 plus 9 plus 6, or 9 plus 9 plus 6 plus 6. I don't know why they have two of those as I'm looking at it. I would guess this one because of the order, but really addition, it doesn't matter the order. So that's new to me. I don't know why iReady is doing that, but both of them technically are correct because it doesn't matter what order you add them in. But it's important you remember that for perimeter, you have to add up all of the sides. Do not multiply with perimeter. Perimeter is adding. This one I like because I thought it was tricky. So when it asks for the perimeter of the rectangle, easily your mind, like mine, probably goes directly to area, and you're like, oh, it looks like there's 6 and 6, so it's probably 12, but that's the area. That's how many squares there are. I don't want that. I want to actually walk around the outside. I want to know how many blocks I'm going. So if you think of each block like you're walking a street light or whatever, you're walking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is the same as if you were to count them. But now you're also walking 7, you're walking 8, you're walking 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and another 15 and 16. So instead of it just being 12 inside, walking the outside of it is actually more. And that's usually how it is, but not always. So in this case, the perimeter is more. It would be 16. For the next one, this one I thought was a good visual of showing you that perimeter and area do not always equal each other. And just because these three have exactly the same outside, which is kind of crazy, they don't have the same inside. So the areas are different, even though the perimeters are the same. So the perimeter for all of these, you're walking the same amount, you're getting the same amount of exercise, you could say. But the inside, one of them is small, one of them is big. So you're just going to tell me which one is the biggest. And you can tell by looking at the area they give you. So the area of this one's 6, the area of A is 12, and the area of B is 10. And they just figured that out by counting them. But the perimeter for all of them is 14. Like you can check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and over 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So really, if you can think of it like walking distance, like walking your dog, the fence, you can think of it like chess piece moves. If you like chess, like how many times you actually have to move your game piece, that would be perimeter too. So perimeter, outside. I have 3 more little tips for you guys. So perimeter of this one, it's tricky because it looks like since you only have 2 measurements, oh, let me just multiply them 8 times 5. Wrong. Don't do it. Don't fall in their trap. And this is on the quiz, so don't fall in that trap. If this side is 8, then its match is also 8. So they're twins. They start and stop at the exact same spot. They start and stop right there together. So if this is 8, and I can actually write on this, and I always forget to do this. If that's 8, this is also 8. If this is 5, this is also 5. Now I can add them up. 8 plus 5 is 13, plus another 8 plus 5, so another 13. 13 and 13, 26. Boom. Perfect. You're welcome. I just gave you an answer. But yes, so just make sure that you are, when it says perimeter, you have to add up all, in this case, 4 sides, but all of the sides of a polygon. Any shape they give you, you need every single side has to have a number. So if they give you one with a missing side, like the next one I believe is, missing side, yes, question mark, missing side right here. So I don't know what this side is. The only way I can figure that out is if I know what the actual total is, which they do give me. So it's kind of a 2-step problem. It's like missing information. So I'm just going to work backwards. Usually I add all these numbers up to equal 30, right? But I don't know what this number is. So that means I'm going to be left with a gap or a hole in my amount. And that number has to be the remaining number to equal 30. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work backwards. I'm going to start with 30. Whoops. I'm going to start with, let's do green. I'm going to start with 30. And I'm going to subtract 7, 3, 5, and 11. If it makes more sense for you to add these up first, you can totally do that, which this equals 10. This equals another 5 is 15. And then 15 plus 11 is 26. So these numbers equal 26, and my total is 30. So what am I left with? What number does this have to be in order for it to equal 30? looks like 4 because that's what I'm missing. 30 minus 26 is 4. That's how much is left. So hopefully that makes sense to you. I'm figuring out all of the ones they give me. So they give me 7, they give me 3, 5, and 11. And it needs to equal 30. So what is the missing jump to 30? I just calculated this together as 26. And then I just figured out the difference. How far away from 30 was I? So that's an easy way to figure that kind of question out. And then the last one I'm going to go over with you. This one looks tricky because they only give you 2 sides and it's asking for perimeter, border. So that's how I know they're asking for border, for perimeter, not area. If it said the paper, like how big is the paper that she needs to cover something with, if it's talking about like covering a bulletin board or covering up a window or something that covers it completely, then that would be area because you're covering it. But in this case, they're talking about the border. So the actual outside. She wants to put ribbon on the outside, which means it's perimeter. So they only give you 2. Do not multiply these. It's only for area. We are doing perimeter, border. Border is perimeter. So you need to make the match on each one. If you need to draw on it, then you can. If this is 6, this is 6. If this is 5, this is 5. The opposites are always the same because they start and stop at the same point. If it's an awkward shape, like one of those like weird ones that they showed earlier, this is 5. It doesn't have an opposite. So there's no way, unless they give you all the side numbers, you can't just assume that this one equals the same as that one. There's no way to know. So don't do that. But what you can do is for all of these, because they're squares and rectangles and they start and stop and perfect little dots like this, you can totally make the other side equal what the opposite is. So this would be 3, this would be 7, this would be 5, this would be 7, this would be 5 because it's the opposite, this would be 4 because it's the opposite, 6 because it's the opposite, 5 because it's its opposite. So then you add up each one, if that makes sense. So you add up the totals. 6 plus 5 plus 6 plus 5, that's 12 plus 10, which is 22. 22. You're going to go to the next one. 4 plus 4 plus 5 plus 5 is 18 total. So you're just going to compare all of the perimeters and see which one equals the 22 that it talked about, okay? And just make sure that there's not 2 answers because I only solved 2 for you. But this is your math video. Hopefully this makes sense. I feel so bad that we don't get to learn this in class like normal 3rd graders because we have done so well with area. But I know you guys are going to continue to do well on this, even though it's a new skill. Perimeter just means the outside. I actually think perimeter is easier. You just add up all the sides. It's beautiful. It makes sense. Area is actually the harder one of the 2. So you guys are already masters at that. If you need any help at all, you know where to find me. That's it for your math lesson on perimeter. Have fun, and I will see you guys later.